Our investigation into the Erie Canal that happened earlier this week. Chief Deputy Michael Fowler, Fowler, will be providing you an update, and then we'll take any questions that you have at the end. Thank you. Chief?
Thanks, Sergeant. So I want to, first of all, thank you for joining us today. We have an update on this case, and I also want to provide a message to the community. So here we are again. We're speaking about repeat offenders, criminals who consistently put the community and law enforcement in dangerous situations. Serial larcenists who quickly turn dangerous. And what's the cost to the community? The risk to the public, to those store clerks, and the first responders. It eventually reaches you, the taxpayers. You see it in the stores with the higher prices and the everyday items locked up. Last week we put a lot of effort into highlighting career criminal Christopher Cole. These are some of the pictures reminding you of that situation. Christopher was a serial arsonist. We spoke about him repeatedly, the numerous crimes he's responsible for and what it costs to the community. Today, we're here to talk about another career criminal, Ryan Armstrong. Ryan's well known to law enforcement. He's been a criminal for 23 years. More than half of his lifetime, he's been a criminal. Ryan's criminal history is 40 pages long. And as a reference, mine that has no history, obviously 1 page. Ryan's criminal history, 40 pages long. Christopher Cole's, even longer. Some of the arrests include violent felonies, such as robbery, assault second, assault against police officers, public safety crimes like DWI, DWI drugs, reckless driving, reckless endangerment, resisting arrest, unlawful fleeing, drug charges, and of course property crimes. The majority of Ryan's arrests are felonies or aggravated offenses because of previous convictions. He's cycled in and out of jail. He's had parole, probation, and to nobody's surprise, he violated his probation and offended again. He even offended when he was in prison, knowingly making or possessing dangerous contraband in prison. Well, he gets released and he commits larcenies, additional larcenies. And some people might say, well, he's just stealing property. But let's look at his history. Let's look at the lengths that Ryan is willing to go to commit those larcenies. A person lost their life at his hands in the act of stealing. And make no mistake, Ryan is responsible for that life. Ryan is behind the wheel. He's committing the crime of fleeing from the police. Remember, Ryan is a double predicate felon. In other words, he's a persistent felony offender who shows an established pattern of committing crimes against the public. He's charged with 8 different offenses just in a 2-year period. He gets sentenced to prison in January of 23. He gets released in January of 25. And now what? Now where are we? His crimes have escalated to manslaughter. I think we can safely state this guy's a danger to the community. He has no business being on the streets. So on Tuesday, Ryan and Reggie decide to load up their box truck with stolen merchandise.
Minutes, borders. No traffic. How's the pedestrian traffic in Brockport? Could you get up on from the east block off?
Notice the rural area. We get asked why we're pursuing people like this. Those rural roads, the lack of other traffic, the constant risk assessment that those deputies are going through and that those supervisors and even lieutenants are paying attention to make sure that we're not increasing the risk to the public. Now in that case there, does Ryan really think he's going to outrun us in a box truck? Especially with deflated tires. We were able to deploy the spike strips and deflate multiple tires on that truck. But he continued to try to flee on the rims. We recognize the extent of these crimes. We're not just going to lay down and let them continue to victimize the community. As soon as we do that, they're going to come back with much bigger trucks and more people. There has to be limits. There has to be a deterrence, and there has to be accountability for their actions. Well, on Tuesday, Ryan continues to make bad decision after bad decision. He ends up driving straight into the Erie Canal. Probably figured he could get away by swimming to the other side. Unfortunately, his passenger and co-conspirator, Reggie, was unable to make it across and eventually went under the water. 2 deputies in their full uniforms jumped in to try to rescue him, but unfortunately couldn't do that. So now starts a massive response from several first responder agencies. First off, trying to rescue or recover Reggie, and then subsequently trying to locate and apprehend Ryan, who's trying to flee through the woods. Thankfully, with the use of the drone and canine, Ryan was quickly apprehended. Orleans County Sheriff's Department participated and assisted us. Several Orleans County fire departments assisted us with this. We even had the use of their underwater drone to help search for Reggie. And our scuba team, who does not normally dive after dark, made an exception in this case because of the severity of the issue, because of the timing and the fact that Reggie was witnessed going underwater. We felt it necessary to take that additional risk and have our scuba team enter the water that night. You have to think about that. It's a dangerous operation. People might think it's easy. It's not. Even in the canal, there is a lot of debris on the bottom of the canal, and you cannot see. You add in the nighttime effect, and now it takes a massive operation to make sure that that's done safely. Reggie was finally recovered just before midnight, thanks to everyone's hard work. Now the next day, we had to return with additional equipment to try to recover that truck out of the water, and then deal with all of the processing of the evidence and trying to bring this crime together. Just the continuation of an immense amount of effort, risk, and expense that has to go into investigating these cases. I'm going to show you a short video of the recovery. Not an easy operation. That truck is full of water and merchandise. We had to have divers go in to attach the cables. We don't always have time to highlight cases like this. We'd be here every week doing these press conferences. But I think the public really needs to understand what's happening in their communities. The risk, the effort, and the cost that's involved in all of these is immense, and it just continues. The names change, but the crimes continue, and we have to continue to try to solve them, investigate them, and prevent them. And we're not going to stop, but it's an immense cost. So now Ryan is facing manslaughter charges from a simple larceny. These are not just minor shoplifting crimes. They're being committed by repeat offenders who have a culture of lawlessness and will stop at nothing. I'll take a few questions if you have any.
Deputy Fowler, you described the cost as being immense, and I know this might be a little early on to ask this, but how much does this massive law enforcement response cost taxpayers?
So if we're only dealing with law enforcement, remember there were fire, EMS, tow companies, everybody out there. We're working on coming up with a total for that. It'll take a little while, but I can tell you just the immense hours of personnel costs, overtime, equipment. You know, those deputies jumped in the canal. The canal is not clean water. It's contaminated with, you know, now we have a vehicle in there with some oil and some fuel. So they'll need new uniforms, all the things that go into that. And the fact that this is not the only public safety effort that's going on at that time. So now you're taking resources away from other people that need it. I don't have a dollar amount for you, no, but just an immense amount. Let me just share that I was there until 3 a.m. This crime happened at about between 5 and 6 p.m. And I know I went home at 3 a.m. and there's still a lot of work to be done. So it is an immense cost.
You said there's still a lot of work to be done. Could you maybe talk about what that work is?
Yeah, I'm going to ask my captain of criminal investigations, Captain Leclerc, to come up and give you a little bit of specifics about that.
Thank you, Chief. So yes, the investigation is ongoing. Our crime scene technicians and investigators still have to process all of the property inside that truck, as well as the truck itself. We also need to track down whether or not that truck is stolen and the driver had permission to be using it at that time. So right now, that's the main focus of our investigative efforts.
Investigation of this scale to take, just processing the truck and everything inside of it?
It's hard to say right now. What I can tell you is that the truck is difficult to process based on the fact that it was in the water and the manner in which Mr. Armstrong was driving it. So it's hard for me to give you a number on that.
Chief Deputy Fowler, I understand the State Attorney General's office is involved in some sort of investigation of this pursuit just because of the death that was involved, and I'm wondering if you could speak on
Sure.
what's being done on that end.
So by law in New York State, when any incident where the police are involved that results in a fatality, the Attorney General has the investigative authority to come in and review that case and make a determination on the appropriateness of the police involvement and whether there was any cause for criminality in that. So what that looks like is at the moment we recovered Mr. Russell that night out of the water, we had proof of a fatality. We notified the Attorney General's office and self-reported that the instances of this case and shared the details. They sent an investigator out to our substation at C-Zone and worked with us, looking over our shoulders, participating in the interviews and reading the reports, watching the dash camera video, the body camera video, and all of that. They will take that back, they'll conduct an investigation, and they'll make a determination based on this.
To the extent that the Sheriff's Office has reviewed all of this, do you believe that pursuit policies were followed accurately?
Yes, we do. Yep. Based on the deputy's experience, we know this is not just a shoplifter. That's not the case here. These are career criminals that are just constantly victimizing the community. And as soon as we lay down and stop and let them go, this is just going to explode even worse. We have to do our job. We have to try to prevent this and try to stop it. There has to be some sort of deterrence.
So what, I guess, methods or strategies are you seeking to implement in order to stop something
Good
like
question.
that from happening?
Thank you. Thank you. So first off, as law enforcement, there's only so much we can do ahead of the fact, right? When it comes to prevention. We're involved in that. We're trying to involve in education. We deal with retailers on how to secure their products, how to prevent sort of things like this, how to react when it does happen. But we're also open for discussions in the community. What else can we do? You know, we've talked a lot about all of the criminal justice reform that's taken place over the last several years and the impact that's had on the type of crime. But, you know, when it comes to this, without a deterrence, I don't know what else there is. Any other questions?
Just to clarify, with Reginald Russell, did he attempt to swim across the canal, or was he stuck in the truck?
Yeah, he attempted to swim away just like Ryan did. And I don't know for sure, but it appears he didn't know how to swim. He probably misjudged the depth of the canal. We did mention earlier about the stolen truck. I want to clarify why we're still working on that. Normally that's resolved much quicker, but in this case, we're dealing with a truck rental company that as of yet is not ready to prosecute that charge. So we are working with them. You know, someone is still out there paying the bill on that rental truck, so the rental company is still trying to figure out which way to go with this. So there may be additional charges coming on here in the next several days. Any other questions? Okay.